Saturday hits the Hudson Valley with a thin, light, and damp air, the kind that carries river smell up the hill. I turn off Route 9D and climb the gravel drive to the little cedar house outside Beacon. The porch light is still on in daylight, a weak amber bulb staring at nothing. I unlock the door. The knob is sticky. Grease hangs in the air. Stale cigarette smoke, too. The television blasts a game show laugh track from the living room. On the sofa, two women I do not know well enough to have in my house lounge with their feet on the coffee table. A boy darts by purple crayon in his fist, leaving a comet of color along the hallway. Someone has wedged a cereal bowl under the couch. The bowl is full of milk and floating cornflakes. Claire darling jam, a voice trills. I find my daughter in the kitchen, elbows deep in suds. Her hair is tied back with a stretched black band. The skin under her eyes is gray. A kettle screams on the stove. No one moves to turn it off. She does with a flinch, and steam washes her face. Carol Boyd sits in a recliner angled to watch both the television and the kitchen doorway. Her smile is soft. Her eyes are not. Brianna and Kelsey have lacquered nails and long legs hooked on the table edge. Out on the porch, Travis smokes with his back to the room. His wife Shelby counts juice boxes. Two children ricochet through the hall, a blur of socks and sugar. Claire, these eggs are cold, Carol says. Make another batch, and a chamomile for me piping hot. Sure, Claire answers. It is almost soundless. I step to her side. The water is cloudy with soap. When I touch her wrist, she startles. Thin red grooves circle her skin where a too-tight hair tie must have sat all morning. The backs of her hands are raw. On the counter waits a stack of plates, each with a smear of yolk like a signature left behind by a stranger. Where are you sleeping? I ask in a voice meant only for her. She glances toward the den. I follow her eyes. The sofa there is short and flattened, a blanket folded to the width of a towel. Past the hall, the master bedroom door stands open a careful 2 inches. Inside, I catch the corner of a suitcase, the shine of a new mattress cover the imprint of someone else's weight. I look at the little wooden board by the door, the one that says, "Welcome," in curly letters with 5 brass hooks. Keys hang there, a family of them. Not Claire's. Not the set I gave her when the deed was fresh, and the paint still smelled like apples and soap. Come outside, I say. Carol's voice glides after us. Stay for tea, Ruth. We were just getting to a good part. I keep moving. We pass the TV and the raisins ground into the rug. We pass the crayon comet. On the porch, the air is cooler. The old swing hangs in the shade of the oak tree. I put it there myself with a socket wrench and a stubborn shoulder. The chain creaks when we sit. The gravel drive clicks as someone shifts their weight on it. How long, I ask? Claire stares at her knees. 2 weeks, she says. Her voice is steady but small. She picks at a dry patch on her thumb and winces. How did they get here? Carol said her landlord raised the rent. She asked if she could stay a few days. 3, she said. Then Brianna showed up because she had a fight with her boyfriend. Then Kelsey. She said her apartment was being remodeled. Travis came for a visit with the kids just for the weekend, but they stayed. It kept being 1 more day. And Mason said family first. He said we have space. He said it would be unkind to turn them away when they needed us. She breathes in. It is thin. He said I was overreacting. The chain groans. A jay shouts from the maple across the fence. The kettle inside starts again. Someone has set it back on the flame. Money, I ask. I have it covered. She says it fast. It is fine. Claire. A few runs to the market, she says. We ran out of eggs, then milk, fruit, bread. It is fine. Bed. She swallows. Carol's back hurts. She wanted the firm mattress. And you? I'm fine on the sofa. She tries a smile. It does not reach her eyes. It is temporary. The word temporary hangs in the air like steam. She is 43. She has learned to smooth edges to survive a storm. I watch her hands. They do not stop moving. They rub each other. They reach for a thing that is not there. They make small circles on her jeans as if a stain might lift if she works at it long enough. When you say family first, I say, does that include you? Her mouth opens, then closes. The oak leaves shift. Dust glows and dims in the slats of light. She says, I think I'm making it harder by not being more patient. You think that I say or someone told you that? Carol laughs at something on television. It is a high bell. Claire looks at me. There is water in her eyes. He keeps telling me his mom means well, she says. He says I do not know what a big family is like. He says they help each other. He says I should be grateful not to be alone. I reach into my purse and find weight. Metal. The old set of keys I carried for a year after closing because habit is slow to die. The teeth are cold. They smell faintly of oil. I roll the ring in my palm and think of the day Claire held them up and leaned her head on my shoulder and laughed like she had taken a breath for the first time in months. "Do you want them here?" I ask. She looks back at the door. Someone shouts from the kitchen. "Claire Sugar." Her throat works. She whispers no. The chain creaks. A breeze carries the scent of cut grass and dish soap. Across the yard, a butterfly lands on the broken fence picket and opens its wings like a book. "What are you afraid of?" I ask. "That Mason will be angry. That he will say I made him choose. That he will leave." The words come in a rush, and then she clamps down as if they were a secret she was not supposed to say out loud. She looks very young. She looks very tired. "And what do you want?" I ask. She tucked her hair behind her ear. The hair tie pulls. She winces again. "I want to sleep in my bed," she says. "It is small. It is everything." We sit there. The swing moves a half-inch forward, a half-inch back. Inside, the kettle scream peaks. Someone bangs a cabinet shut. A spoon clatters into the sink. The television laughs at its own joke. "Stand up," I say. Claire blinks at me. "Mom." "We are going in," I say. "We are going to speak in our own kitchen." She hesitates for a beat, then rises. The chain sighs with relief. On the threshold, I stop and look again at the welcome board with its brass hooks. I hang the old keys on the center hook where they catch the light. Carol lifts her head as we enter. Brianna and Kelsey glance over as if a new channel has come on. Travis taps ash into a potted fern. Carol's smile blooms. "Ruth, there you are. I made a list. Since you are here, maybe you can help with the bread." I walk past the list, past the television. I reach for the remote. I click once. The room exhales. The quiet is not complete, but it is enough to hear my own voice. I look at my daughter, then at the woman in the recliner who believes my daughter is an extra in her life. Today I say this house flips the switch. Claire's fingers brush my sleeve. The kettle stops on its own. The porch light still burns in daylight, a stubborn dot of amber in the corner of my eye. The room is watching. I do not look away. The room narrows when the television dies. The laugh track cuts mid-giggle and leaves a hollow in the air. Brianna blinks at the black screen like it has betrayed her. Kelsey lowers a grape half to a paper plate and watches me the way a cat watches a bird. Carol does not move in the recliner. The corners of her mouth smooth into something patient. "That was on," Brianna says. "Not anymore," I say. Carol folds her hands. "Ruth, dear, there is no need to make a scene. We are a family having a nice weekend." I set the remote on the mantel away from small hands. "We are going to have a quiet conversation," I say. "In this house we can hear each other." Shelby counts under her breath in the kitchen. A child thumps down the hall, then stops when he sees my face. Travis outside the screen door flicks ash. The ash lands in the soil of a fern that never did anyone harm. Carol smiles. "It is lovely the way a painted plate is lovely." "Why so serious?" she asks. "Claire is a natural hostess. She likes people. She told me herself." "She told you what you wanted to hear," I say. Brianna snorts. Sounds like someone woke up on the wrong side of finesse. I open my bag and pull out a thin folder. The plastic edge has a nick where I cut it wrong with scissors in my kitchen last year. I slide out a photocopy and hold it in both hands so the paper does not wobble. "Dutchess County Clerk," I say, "index number at the top, Claire Hale, fee paid, date stamped. This property is in my daughter's name." Kelsey laughs, not a happy sound. "Cute. Does it come with a gold star? They are married. He lives here. That means it is shared." "That means he lives here," I say. "It does not mean he owns it. She bought this before the marriage. It is separate." Shelby stops counting. So what she says from behind the refrigerator door. Family is family. We do not nickel and dime each other. I look at Claire. The color rises in her throat. She does not run. She nods a small nod that is for me and not for them. I wait a heartbeat to give her a chance to speak if she wants. Her lips part, then close. Not yet. Carol leans forward, elbows on the recliner arms. "I adore paperwork," she says. "It is so tidy. Life rarely is. In my family, we do not wave documents to get our way. We use kindness. We use grace." "Then you will not mind if I make a call," I say. Her eyes flash. "A call to whom, dear?" "To someone who speaks the language of your kindness," I say. I put the phone on the coffee table and press speaker. The ring hums in the room. The kettle starts to sing again in the kitchen like a kettle always does when no one is paying attention. On the third ring, a low voice answers. "Park? Richard, I need 30 seconds, I say. We are in the house in Beacon. Is the property owned solely by Claire Hale?" "Yes," he says. "No extra words. Recorded last spring. Separate property before marriage." If she asks uninvited adults to leave and they refuse, what is the situation? There is a pause long enough to hear a car door close somewhere down the road. "Trespass," he says. She is entitled to request they vacate. If they do not, she may call the sheriff. The word sheriff sits on the coffee table beside the remote. Thank you, I say. Richard does not ask questions. He does not tell stories. He says, call me if you need me, and the line clicks. No one moves at first. Even the children hold still. In the kitchen, the kettle screams, and Claire reaches over Shelby's shoulder and turns the knob. The flame shudders and lowers. Steam breathes around the lid and fades. Brianna laughs again, but it comes out thin. Look at her, she says to Kelsey. She brings a lawyer to breakfast. Travis comes in through the screen door, the spring slapping it back hard. He smells like lighter fluid. He looks me up and down and then lets his gaze slide to Claire as if to remind her who is big and who is small. Ma'am, he says and fills the doorway. You're not going to make a problem where there is none, are you? There is a problem, I say. The owner of this house is not sleeping in her bed. That is a choice, Carol says. She is still. Her hands do not shake, I asked. Claire offered, out of kindness. I look at my daughter. Claire, did you offer because you wanted to, or because it seemed easier than saying no? She stands straighter. Her voice lifts a little. I did not want to. There is the smallest crack in the surface. Air gets in. Carol spreads her fingers as if to gather the crack and smooth it. You are making her embarrassed, she says, and for the first time I hear the cool beneath the syrup. I do not want that for her. You embarrassed her when you moved into her room, I say. Now she is only telling the truth. Kelsey tosses a grape into her mouth and catches it behind her teeth like she is at a show. What is your end game, she asks. Kicking out family. Who does that? People who ask politely first, I say. People who are tired of being ignored. The old clock in the hall ticks. It has always been a half-second slow. In the silence, it sounds like a metronome set for a waltz. Here is how this goes, I say, and the room leans forward. Claire is the owner. She chooses who stays. She's asked you to leave. You have 1 hour to pack. Shelby laughs without humor. We have kids, she says, hand on the fridge like it could anchor her argument. We have needs. They have parents, I say. Who can meet those needs without making someone else their maid? Brianna's chair scrapes. She stands. She is taller than me in a way that is supposed to mean something. Who is going to make us, she says. You. I step closer, not much, just enough to close the space where an answer tries to hide. Do not mistake my size for my strength, I say. Do not mistake my age for surrender. Travis laughs through his nose. You think calling a lawyer scares me? I think it saved us time, I say. Carol raises a hand and the room looks at it as if it were a conductor's baton. Let us not frighten the children, she says. Ruth, do you truly mean to turn this into a scene? In front of your daughter's family? Not a scene, I say, a boundary. Kelsey picks at a hangnail. Blood beads. She sucks it with a little hiss. Mason invited us, she says. His house's rules. Claire, I say, and I do not look away. Say your name. She blinks. Claire, she says, confused. Say it again, I say. Where's that name? She swallows. On the deed. It comes out quiet. Then she steadies. The house is mine. Shelby shuts the refrigerator, and the magnet with the pizza coupon slides to the floor. The children watch it fall and do not pick it up. You all heard her, I say. Carol lifts her chin. I hear her fear, she says. I hear her wanting to please you so you do not feel obsolete. The word obsolete lands with a sting and then dissolves. It is a cheap word. It does not fit the room. I look at the clock, then at the kitchen timer on the stove, the one shaped like a red pepper with white numbers around its waist. I twist it to 60. The tick begins bright and undeniable. You have until that bell rings, I say. Brianna gestures at the timer with 2 fingers. Cute, she says again, as if the word could undo time. Travis plants his feet. Mason is going to walk in that door any minute, he says. He is not going to like what he sees. That will be his problem, I say. The porch light hums. It is still on, though the sun is higher now and the room is full of white morning. Carol folds the list in her lap that she wrote earlier, the one with bread and sugar and eggs, and a note that says towels with an underline. She slides it into her sleeve like a card she might use later. We are not going anywhere, she says. We are family. Claire looks at the timer. It clicks on. It clicks off. Her mouth firms. I asked you to leave, she says to Carol. It is the first time she has said that to the room. The sentence stands between them like a line on the floor, drawn with chalk. Kelsey smiles a small, bright smile that is all enamel. He is not going to take this well, she says. Who, I say. She does not answer. Outside, a quick gust moves the oak leaves. The chain on the swing sighs. Gravel pops under weight. Travis turns his head. In the drive, tires crunch. The sound is familiar. Mason's truck has a loose heat shield that rattles when he slows. The rattle comes through the open porch door like a coin in a tin can. The front door swings wider on its tired hinges. Mason steps into the cool shadow Jean behind him. Mason stops at the sight of the suitcases pulled into a loose half circle near the stairs. His eyes move to the timer on the stove. He looks at me, at Claire, at his mother. "What is going on?" he says. The clock in the hall keeps time. The timer ticks. The kettle breathes low heat on an empty burner. The porch light hums in daylight. The room holds its breath. Mason's boots stop on the rug. Jean lingers in the doorway, hat in his hands. The timer on the stove ticks like a cricket that cannot be bothered to hide. The room gives Mason back his question and waits to see if he hears it. "What is going on?" he says again, slower. Carol lifts her chin. "Your mother-in-law is confused," she says, easy as warm syrup. "She turned off the television and told your family to pack, in your house." Mason looks at the suitcases, at the children with wide eyes, at Shelby holding the fridge door like a shield. He looks at Claire last. Her hands are still. That is new. "It is Claire's house," I say. I do not raise my voice. I hold the photocopy where he can see it. "Recorded last spring, separate property." He stares at the paper, then at me. "We are married," he says. "I live here." "You live here," I say. "You do not own it." She does. The timer ticks. The porch light hums though the sun is past breakfast and climbing. Outside, a bird lands on the railing and then lifts away without a sound. "Mom invited us," Kelsey says to Mason. "You said it was fine." "I said you could visit," he says. He does not sound certain. He looks at Claire. "I thought it was fine." "Is it?" I ask him. He opens his mouth. Nothing comes. His eyes flick to the hallway. He sees the master door open 2 inches. He has always left it like that, a habit of air and ease. He looks at the den, the blanket folded to a strip. His brow pulls tight. "Have you been sleeping there?" he asks Claire. His voice is low. The question is a hand that has finally found where to go. "Yes," she says. He turns to his mother. "You took our room." Carol does not blink. "Your wife offered," she says. "I did not want to impose. I have a back issue. The firm mattress helps." "You have 2 guest rooms," he says to the air, as if the house itself might answer. Shelby sets a pack of juice boxes on the counter. They make a small hollow sound when they land. Brianna snores, she says, without looking up. Kelsey has a thing about windows. The kids need room. Travis folds his arms. "We are family," he says. "We help each other." Mason closes his eyes, then opens them. He looks older by a year. "How long?" he says to Claire. 2 weeks, she says. I told you 3 times. He looks at her hands. The skin at her knuckles is cracked. He takes a breath and then another, as if the first one did not work. Carol leans forward. "She is being dramatic," she says. "You know how sensitive she gets when she is tired. She will be fine after a nap." "The naps are on the sofa," I say. Ruth Carol says, "and now there is steel in the sugar. You are making something private into a performance." "You did that when you moved in without asking," I say. "We are late to the performance." Brianna tosses her hair. "This is ridiculous," she says. "You cannot kick out family, not here, not like this." I move my gaze to Mason. "She asked me to ask you to hear her," I say. "That is all." He looks at Claire. She meets him. No flinch, no apology. The clock in the hall ticks half a second behind the timer. The room begins to measure things that cannot be measured. "Are you paying the bills?" he asks her. He sounds like someone who hopes the answer is no. She nods. "Electric, water, groceries." "How much?" he says. $812, she says. "Since last week, 3 runs to the market." He looks at the counter, at the empty citrus bowl, at the garbage can with the lid tilted and a banana peel draped like a flag. "I did not know," he says. "I told you," she says. The timer ticks. The kettle on the back burner lets out a soft breath as if to say it is listening. Jean steps forward quiet as a man who spent his life making himself small. He does not look at Carol. He looks at me. He looks at Claire. "I saw her working," he says. "From early till late." He swallows. "I should have said something sooner." Carol's head turns a fraction. "Jean," she says. He nods without meeting her eyes. Then he steps back like he has used up his bravery for the day. Kelsey pulls a face that is all teeth. "You are really picking a fight with your own mother over some eggs and a mattress," she says to Mason. He keeps his eyes on Claire. "Did you ask them to leave?" He says, voice softer, as if he's afraid of the answer. Claire nods again. "Yes." Carol gives a practiced laugh that does not reach the edges of her mouth. "She is only saying that because Ruth is here," she says. "She wants to impress her mother." "I asked before she got here," Claire says. The sentence lands and holds. Brianna steps closer to Mason and speaks low but not low enough. "If we go, you come with us," she says. "That is how this works. Blood before outsiders." Mason looks at his sister as if she is a stranger who has borrowed his family's face. He does not answer her. He looks at the floor. The rug is ground with a dark streak where too many shoes have dragged. Carol stands. She is not tall, but she fills the room. "No one is leaving," she says. You would not do this to your mother. The timer clicks on and on. The red pepper body vibrates a hair. Claire speaks, and her voice lifts in the space the timer makes. I want my house back, she says. There is no tremor this time. Please leave. The word please is not a rug. It is a line drawn steady from toe to toe. Shelby's mouth opens, closes. She looks at the children. Go get your shoes, she says. Her voice has the high pitch of someone surprised by her own choice. Brianna spins. No one is going anywhere, she says to Shelby. Put those back. Do not talk to my wife that way, Travis says, and then he looks at Carol as if he said something he did not mean to say out loud. Carol sets her hand on Mason's arm. Her fingers are cool. Honey, she says, we can talk later. After Claire rests. Tell your mother-in-law to stop inserting herself. Tell her this is not her place. I look at her hand. Mason looks at it too. He steps away. The hand falls. You said family first, Claire says. Does that include me? Mason stares at her. The room holds a shape it has never held. He is a man with a mother and a wife and one mouth. He has to decide who hears it. Carol's expression softens like she has found a new angle. You are tired, she says, all velvet. You do not mean any of this. You will regret speaking to me this way. I told you I wanted you to leave, Claire says. You told me I was ungrateful. The children appear with shoes in their hands and do not know if they should put them on. Shelby stands with a backpack half unzipped. She is watching Mason. Jean slides his hat onto his head and takes it off again. Mason rubs his jaw. He walks to the master bedroom door. He pushes it open the rest of the way. He looks at the suitcase on the bench, at the neatly folded towels that do not smell like his house, at the indent on the new mattress that is not his shape or Claire's. He closes the door softly and walks back. He stops by the den and touches the back of the sofa. His fingers come away with a bit of lint. He looks down at it like a man who has been given a clue he cannot ignore. The timer ticks. The porch light hums. A fly licks a bright dot on the window glass and moves on. Carol's voice finds a lower register. You will not make me a villain, she says. I moved in because I love my son. I stayed because no one told me to go. I told you, Claire says. Carol turns to Mason. You are really going to let her talk to me like that? He looks at his wife, then at his mother. He looks at the red pepper timer. The numbers glow white under the grease of old cooking. He takes a breath. He lets it go. He looks at Jean. Jean nods once tiny like a man blessing a ship as it slips the rope. Travis crosses his arms again. Say the word, brother, he says. We are not moving a bag. The house waits. The day outside keeps going unbothered. The kettle on the back burner breathes again a soft ghost of sound. Mason steps toward Claire. He puts his hand on the counter and leans as if steadying himself on the place where breakfast should have been a quiet thing. He looks her in the eyes. Then he turns to the room. I choose, he says. I choose, he says, and the room stops pretending there is a question. Mason looks at his mother, then at Claire. He nods once to Claire, small and sure, like setting a nail straight with one tap. Pack, he says. Everyone, get your things. For a second it does not register. The red pepper timer ticks on the stove like a cheap heart. Brianna's smile freezes. Kelsey's mouth opens. Travis lets out a short laugh that dies before it becomes anything. You are not serious, Carol says. The words are smooth, but her voice scrapes. Mason does not raise his voice. Mom, please start packing. Shelby pulls a drawer and begins to stack plastic cups. Her hands shake. The cups click. She stops, then starts again. The children look at her and then at Carol, waiting to see which face to read. You are really doing this, Kelsey says. She stares at me, then at the timer like the appliance has insulted her. Brianna steps in front of Mason. You would throw out your own blood for a woman who is crying over chores, she says. You would do that to us. To me. I would stop you from mistreating my wife, he says. His jaw is tight. There is no echo on it. He turns to Claire. I am sorry. He says it low for her, not for the room. Carol rises from the recliner. The leather sighs. She smooths her shirt. The gesture is neat. Her eyes are sharp. Honey, be careful, she says. Words said in haste have a way of becoming walls. Pack, he says again. Travis throws his palms up. This is stupid, he says. We came to help. We built your shed. We fixed the gutter. A little gratitude. You left nails on the walkway, I say. I picked 2 out of a tire. He glares at me. He wants to say something about old women and their opinions. He does not. He grabs the handle of a suitcase and yanks it open. Shirts spill like water. Jean clears his throat. I will get the tools, he says to no one. He moves toward the porch like a man walking through tall grass. The house shifts into a new sound. Zippers rasp, hangers clack, drawers thud. The children are told to find both shoes. One finds one shoe and brings it like a prize. Shelby kneels to tie laces with hands that cannot find the rhythm. Kelsey snatches a stack of folded towels and holds them to her chest as if ownership can be declared by squeezing hard enough. Brianna edges toward the end table and lifts the small lamp with the jade base. "This is mine," she says. "I bought it last fall." Claire looks at the lamp. Her voice is clear. "Beacon Antiques, 120. I bought it, cash." She does not blink. Brianna puts the lamp down with a thud that makes the jade ring. I step onto the porch. The swing chain creaks. The air has shifted. The porch light hums even in daylight. In the truck bed, I keep a box of things no one expects me to have. Oilcloth, a wrench, a fresh lock, and a stiff plastic blister. I cut the plastic with my house keys and tear my thumbnail. It hurts clean. I slide the old screws into my pocket as I take them out. They are warm. The new lock face gleams. It takes 3 turns for the screws to bite into new wood. I test the latch. It clicks true. Inside, the timer keeps count. Someone slams a bathroom door. A child giggles and is hushed. The television remains black. The quiet has a grain to it like wood. When I come back in, Gene is standing near the den with a small box of odds and ends. He looks at my hands at the tiny cut on my nail. He gives a soft nod that is almost a thank you. Carol moves through the living room collecting little items no one will miss. A scarf from the coat tree. A framed photo, someone slipped behind a stack of cookbooks. A bottle of scented lotion with a pump that has lost its spring. She pauses at the master bedroom door and puts her palm against it like she's making the house take her shape. She looks at Claire. "You will regret this," she says. The saddle of sweetness is back in her voice, but the horse is gone. "When you disappoint him when he sees who you are, he will think of today." Claire says nothing. She bends and picks up a toy car and places it into a small hand that is waiting. Brianna and Kelsey go out to the driveway with bags that look bigger than they did on the way in. Travis follows with a box, his jaw set hard. Shelby carries the lamp. She does not meet anyone's eyes. The children go ahead of them, one hopping to keep a shoe on the other, dragging a backpack. The gravel gives a dry pop under each step. Carol waits until the others pass. She stands close to Mason. She is careful with her mouth. "Come with us," she says. "Let this calm down. It is not safe for you here with that level of control." Mason looks at her. Then he looks at Claire. He lays his hand flat against the counter. His fingers are clean now. He must have washed them without knowing. He shakes his head. "I am staying." "You choose her over your mother," she says, not a question. "I choose my marriage," he says. His eyes do not move off Claire. Carol takes a breath that lifts her shoulders and drops them. "You will not hear from me again," she says. "That is not a threat, it is a fact." She picks up her purse. She steps for the door. She stops beside me as if remembering something small. "You think you won," she says. "You just took on a burden you cannot carry." I do not answer. She goes out into the bright noon. Gene remains. He puts his box on the floor and walks to Claire. He takes off his hat. "I am sorry," he says. "I saw and I did not say. That is on me." He puts his hat back on and carries the box out. The timer ticks. It is almost to the top. The red pepper body shivers. I twist it off with a small turn of 2 fingers. It would ring anyway in a minute, but there is no need. The hour did what hours do. Mason picks up 2 suitcases and takes them to the porch. He comes back for a third. He moves like someone who is learning the shape of the room he lives in. Shelby passes him with a bag of shoes. She pauses. "Thank you for being clear," she says to Claire without lifting her eyes. Then she goes. There are 2 vehicles in the drive. Carol's sedan, Travis's truck. Brianna and Kelsey slam doors with too much force. The sedan rocks. Travis straps a box with a ratchet. The strap sings as it tightens. The children climb in and press their faces to the glass. They are tired and red-eyed and sticky with juice. Carol stands by the open driver door. She does not look up when Mason and Claire step onto the porch. She rotates her purse strap slow once, twice, then stops. She looks at Mason. Her face is pale in the light. "Last chance," she says. "We drive now." "I am staying here," he says. She nods like a judge who has waited and is done waiting. She gets into the car. The engine coughs and then catches. The sedan backs down the drive. The truck follows, tailgate rattling. We stand and watch them go. No one speaks. The porch light hums. A sparrow lands on the swing chain and rides it a little and then lifts off. The dust they kick up hangs in the sun and then settles against the ferns. Inside, the kitchen breathes. The house finds its shape again. Mason sets the last suitcase in the hall and comes back to Claire. He puts his hands on her shoulders. He tries to say something and fails. He tries again. The second time the words fit. "I am sorry," he says. She nods and steps into him. He holds her. It is awkward for a half second, and then not awkward at all. He is crying with his mouth closed like a child trying to be quiet. She does not tell him to stop. I turn the stove knob to off. The little flame line disappears into a blue point and then nothing. The room continues to exist. The clock in the hall ticks its slow half-second behind the world. When I move to the porch, the swing nudges my thigh. The chain clicks like a small animal in sleep. The light is still on. I reach up and touch the lens. It is warm. I leave it alone. Mason and Claire come out. Claire looks down at my hands. She sees the small cut on the nail and makes a face like she feels it. "Does it sting?" she asks. "Only when I think about it," I say. Mason faces me. He is blotchy. He does not bother to wipe his eyes. "Thank you," he says. He glances at the door where the new lock face catches the sun. "Did you change it?" "I had a lock," I say. "It seemed useful." He nods. "Good." We stand without words for a while. The oak shifts. A brown leaf falls early and lands on the top step like a tiny folded tent. Mason picks it up and flips it over and sets it on the railing. He looks at the red pepper timer on the counter through the open door. It is still. He breathes like someone who just finished a hard job and discovered he can still fill his lungs. "I will be in the city tonight," I say. "Call if you need me." Claire presses her mouth together. She nods. She does not say thank you. She does not need to. She reaches and squeezes my hand quick and firm and then lets go. I take my bag. I take the empty plastic blister from the new lock and crumple it and put it in the trash. The bag opens and swallows it with a soft sound. It is a house sound. It sounds like a house that belongs to its owner. On my way out, I look once at the welcome board with the brass hooks. The old keys hang in the center and catch a line of sun that fits them perfectly. The line moves as the day moves. That is how light works. The gravel groans under my tires as I start down the drive. The porch light hums behind me. The swing chain creaks once and then is quiet. The hill drops to the river. The road opens like it always does when a house lets go of a morning. At a red light in town, my phone buzzes in the cup holder. Unknown number. The screen glows in the shadow of the dashboard. I let it ring once, twice. Then I pick it up. The red light throws a square of color across the dash. The phone presses warm against my ear. I do not speak first. "Ruth." The voice is careful. "Carol," softer than it was in my kitchen. There is a small hitch like she has been walking upstairs. "I'm driving," I say. "Talk." "I did not see it," she says. "What I was doing, I thought I was being helpful." Paper rustles on her side of the line. "Jean says I was not." "He is right," I say. Silence grows across the line like a sheet pulled to the corners. She breathes. I can hear a TV far away in her room, something with a soft laugh track. "What do I do?" she asks. The question is not a trick this time. It sounds like an empty plate. "You write a letter," I say. "Own exactly what you did. No excuses, no telling anyone how to feel. If you want to be heard, put ink on paper." She's quiet long enough that the light changes to green and the car behind me taps the horn. I roll forward. "All right," she says, "I can do that." "And you give them space," I say. "I hear you," she says. "I hear you, Ruth." The line clicks. The river shows itself between trees in a long steel stripe. I cross the bridge and head for the city. The phone stays face down. The road hums under the tires. The smell in the car is tea and soap from my bag. That night the kettle in my kitchen breathes when I set it on low and forget it for a minute. I sit with my feet under the old chair and look at my hands. There is a slice at the nail bed from the lock packet. It is small pink, almost neat. When the water finally whispers, I pour and watch the chamomile cloud the cup. Claire calls after 9. The line is light now, like her voice. "We are cleaning," she says. "There is flour in the air." "I can hear it," I say. A soft thud comes through, then a laugh that belongs to her. "We washed the drapes," she says. "We were going to toss them, but they came back to white. I did not know they could do that." "Sometimes they do," I say. "We turned the mattress," she says. "We changed the sheets." She stops. "I slept in my bed." "Good," I say. No one says thank you. It is not that kind of call. We talk about the little things in front of us. The chipped bowl, the stain on the rug, the way the porch light hums even when the sun is up. Some sensor confused a lamp that will not let go. 2 weeks later, I take the drive back up the river. The cedar house breathes new paint scent out the open windows. The porch boards wear a band of sunlight the width of a yardstick. The swing has a fresh chain. Lavender sits in clay pots on the steps, bees visiting each bloom like they have been invited. Claire opens the door and smells like lemons and soap. Her hair is loose. She takes a breath like air tastes new. Mason stands behind her with a cloth in his hand. He wipes a line of dust off a picture frame and then wipes the line off his fingers. "Come look," she says. "The living room is the same room. It is not the same room. The rug is rolled back and beaten clean. The welcome board shines. The old keys hang in the center hook and catch light. The jade lamp sits where it always belonged. The TV is quiet. The remote is not lost. In the kitchen, a second oven has found a corner. A small one. Silver clean, not shouting. Mason has run a new line neat along the baseboard, and the outlet wears a bright white plate. On the counter, there is a row of cooling racks and a single cake that still steams. The scent is butter and vanilla and something citrus under it. The red pepper timer stands still and innocent, like it never counted down an hour that changed anyone. "Try," Claire says, and cuts a sliver. The cake still crumbles because it wants to be warm. She puts the piece on a saucer and sets it in my hand with care, like a clerk passing a ring. It tastes like a kitchen belongs to the person using it. Mason turns the new deadbolt and opens it and closes it again. He does not say we needed this. He does not say anything. He looks at Claire and his eyes give him away. On the table sits an envelope thick with a stamp a little crooked. The handwriting leans clean to the right. Claire touches it with one finger. "She wrote," she says. "Read," I say. She slides the letter out and unfolds it. The pages make a dry, small sound. She reads with her eyes, not out loud. Her face does not change big. It moves a little at the corners, like someone testing a new shoe. She sets the pages down. Mason reads next. He moves his lips, a habit from childhood. He puts the letter back exactly the way it was on the table. "What do you want to do?" I ask Claire. She opens the drawer by the sink and takes out a pen. She writes on a card with a painted orange on it. She writes slow. Her hand steadies. The words are not long. She signs her name. Mason signs too. The pen makes a scratch that belongs to the house. We eat in the yard under the oak. The shade has the feel of water in August. The porch light has been changed. It is a new one now, a simple dome with a sensor that knows when to rest. It stays off. It looks ready for night. Bees work the lavender. A train whistles on the far riverbank and then fades. Jean comes by quiet and sets a paper bag by the steps. He raises a hand and keeps walking. In the bag is a jar of screws and a folded note. I oil the jar lid and it opens with a sigh. The note says 2 words. I looked. The paper smells like his garage. Mason clears dishes and Claire wipes the table. They move easy around each other. They bump once and apologize with their eyes. There is no room for performance in small work like this. When she reaches for the sponge, he is already handing it to her. Inside, the kettle breathes. No one lets it scream. No one has to turn off laughter to hear a voice. Steam touches the edge of the cupboard and curls back on itself. The house keeps its shape. By the door, I take down the old key ring. It has a weight I have carried long after I needed to. I put the ring in Claire's hand. My palm feels lighter, and so does my shoulder, which is not how keys work, but it is how they feel. "Keep them," I say. "If you make a copy, you decide who holds it." She nods. She slides the ring onto the center hook, next to the new cut set Mason had made after I changed the lock. Both sets hang like family. The brass flashes when the sun moves past the window. Before I go, I stand a moment at the threshold. The floor smells like wood and lemon. The deadbolt slides clean. The porch boards take my weight like they did when I carried the swing out of the truck and refused to ask for help. The road down to town is quiet. The river is the color of pewter. In the rear view, the house sits small and square, the new porch light off the windows open like eyes that are not worried. At a stop sign under the sycamore, my phone buzzes. A picture fills the screen. Claire and Mason in the garden, flower on his forearm, a smear of icing on her wrist, both of them framed by lavender and the swing chain. The caption is 3 words. "Thank you, Mom." I pull over and look at it until the screen dims to save itself. I do not write back. I drop the phone in the cup holder and rest both hands on the wheel until they stop buzzing with other people's lives. Back home, the kettle does not need to go on. The house holds its own heat. I sit in the chair that knows my weight. The city noise comes through the window, a long, steady line. Across the room, my purse slumps open. It does not drag at the strap. There is more air in it now. When I close my eyes, I see the brass hooks, the narrow keys, the small circle of a lock catching and turning. I see the porch light that knows when to shine and when to rest. I see the swing chain making the smallest sound, not from people, but from the lightest wind. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.